Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with an emotionally unavailable partner. Um, but before I answer that question, we need to first define what an emotionally unavailable partner is. An emotional unavailable partner is someone who struggles to express a wide range of emotions, has difficulty handling emotions, and has trouble getting emotionally close to people because they fear intimacy or commitment. Let me say that again. An emotional, unavailable partner is someone who struggles to express a wide range of emotions, has difficulty handling emotions, and has trouble getting emotionally close to people because they fear intimacy or commitment. The emotionally unavailable person is often referred to as a commitment phobe and is usually characterized as having the avoidant attachment style. Modern research has shown that there are four types of attachment systems that are formed by our caregivers between the ages of 0 to 7 years of age. Okay. So let me say that again. The emotionally unavailable person is often referred to as a commitment phobe and is usually characterized as having the avoidant attachment style. Modern research has shown that there are four types of attachment systems that are formed by our caregivers between the ages of 0 to 7 years old. Okay, so now we're just going to briefly go over the four attachment types. The first one is the secure attachment. These kinds of people feel secure with their partners. They're comfortable in expressing feelings and closeness and being intimate and vulnerable. And they're capable of being interdependent. Okay, so these people, I'm not sure what the percentage are, but these people are secure. They fall under a secure attachment where they are secure with their partners, they're comfortable in expressing feelings and closeness and being intimate and vulnerable. And they're capable of being interdependent. Okay. And that's a good place to be, meaning that they're not too dependent on somebody and they're not overly independent. So there's a middle ground there. And they're able to connect with individuals with no issues. Okay. The second kind of attachment is the anxious attachment. These kinds of people feel worried about their partners, feel worried about how their partners feel about them and fears abandonment. So they constantly require reassurance from their partners to show that they care. Okay, so let me just say it again. The anxious attachment people feel worried about how their partners feel about them and fears abandonment. So they constantly require reassurance from their partners to show that they care. So I'm sure you can think about people that you've known or people that you've dated or people that you're friends with and or family members that are behave this way. They usually are the ones that we would characterize as insecure. They're very insecure about themselves. They're always worried about what other people think about them. In a relationship situation, they worry that the partners are going to leave them, and they're living in constant fear of abandonment. Okay, and then they also would be, I would say, appear to be needy. They always want reassurance from their partners to show that the partners care. So it puts a burden on the partner to constantly have to reassure them that they care for them and they love them. Okay, so that's those people fall under anxious attachment. The third one is avoidant attachment. These kinds of people avoid closeness and fear intimacy. In relationships, they often feel like they're suffocating and strive to protect their independence and struggle with being vulnerable. Okay, so obviously we know these avoidant attachment is talking about people that are emotionally unavailable. Okay, let me just say it again. These kinds of people avoid closeness and fear intimacy. In relationships, they often feel like they're suffocating and strive to protect their independence and struggle with being vulnerable. Okay. The fourth attachment is the anxious avoidant attachment. These kinds of people have a mix of both anxious and avoidant attachment styles. They have a tendency to get close and then pull away. So there's a push pull behavior going on. Okay. So I'm sure you ran across people like this or have heard people that are like this. The people that have the anxious avoidant style, in 1 minute they want to be close to you, right? But then once they get close to you, then they want to pull back. So there's this, push pull that's going on. It just makes for a very unstable relationship, and um, it kind of gives mixed signals and confuses the partners often when they behave this way. It's very erratic. So in kind of, extreme type of behaviors. So it could be very misleading and confusing for their partners. Um, okay, and now that we have now, so it's helpful to understand the emotionally unavailable people usually fall under the avoidant attachment style type of behaviors. Okay, so we just said that earlier that the emotionally available people usually fall under the avoidant attachment type of behaviors. And this behavior is developed from a trauma in childhood or later in childhood from a traumatic ending of a relationship where trust was violated, causing them to have low self esteem, trust issues, and fear being vulnerable again. Let me say it again. And this behavior is developed from trauma in childhood or later in adulthood from a traumatic ending of a relationship where trust was violated, causing them to have low self esteem, trust issues, and fear of being vulnerable again. Counseling is required to heal these people so they can heal and learn healthier patterns of behaviors and build healthy relationships. Okay. So we need to understand this. This is very important. I get questions all the time. How do we deal with an emotional available partner? Can they change? Can I help them change? Right? What can I do to make them feel better? And folks, you have to understand this thing stems from either a trauma from childhood or later on in adulthood. Okay. And they have to heal. They have to seek help themselves. They have to realize that they need help and that they have these problem type of behaviors. You can't help them. You can try to understand them, but ultimately they have to realize they have this problem and they want to feel better and get help. Okay, um, so as I said, they had a traumatic ending of a relationship, or it happened during childhood where trust was violated. So, their trust was violated, causing them to have low self esteem, trust issues, and fear of being vulnerable again. So, many of you, I hear this all the time where people um, say that they themselves have trust issues or their partner has trust issues and they're not able to open up and be transparent. This is why. Okay, something happened in the course of their lives that has caused them to close up, to shut down, to be fearful of being vulnerable. Okay? So we need to understand that. And now that we identify what an emotionally unavailable partner looks like and how they behave, how then do we deal with a partner like this? Okay? So that's the topic for discussion is how do we deal with an emotionally unavailable partner? Here are 5 ways to deal with an emotionally unavailable partner. Number 1, stay calm and share feelings. We tend to get upset because we're taking things too personally and think our partner is trying to hurt us. Realize they are in the self protective mode, and it's important to stay calm and share your own feelings by using I statements, such as, I feel you don't care when you don't express how you feel. And then maybe propose an action to your partner um, that propose an action that your partner can take to show that he or she cares, right? So you just state how you feel and what they're doing that's making you feel the way you do, and then propose a solution of how they can maybe modify their behavior so that you can feel that they care and they can show that they care, right? This way, your partner can actively begin to participate in the relationship with your patients to help him or her become more expressive to show his or her feelings in ways to meet your needs. Okay, so this is the first way is that you just have to not take it personally, folks. You have to realize this is just an automatic response they have. And you need to take a step back and not take it personally and realize that the one way that you can help them is to share your own feelings. Express to them how you feel. And then come up with a suggestion of what they can do to modify their behavior. And we're not talking about necessarily change them. We're not looking to change the personality, but you can make a suggestion of how they can modify their personality just a little to show that they care and for you to feel that your needs are being met. Okay. The second way is to set boundaries. Sometimes your emotionally unavailable partner can be self centered, insensitive, and clueless to your needs. So the boundaries need to be set for yourself. Now, in my recent past videos, you've heard me say that the boundaries were for toxic relationships, but in this situation, the boundaries will be to protect your happiness so you don't become isolated from the world and become sad or depressed. Okay, so if you've seen my one of my last previous videos on how to deal with toxic relationships, I talk about how to set the boundaries, right? Well, this will be appropriate in this situation as well. Um, Sometimes, if you're in a relationship with an emotionally unavailable partner, it could become toxic, right? If they become too selfish, self-centered, and sensitive, it could feel like it's a very toxic relationship. Um, but in reality, they're just clueless. They don't know how to show their feelings, right? So it's not that I don't think they're necessarily intentionally, but they are trying to protect themselves. They are in that self-protective mode because they're afraid of getting hurt and being vulnerable. So you do need to set boundaries in this situation, okay? Because it's to protect your own happiness. Because if you don't do that and you allow that person to continually be self-centered and selfish, you're eventually going to get depressed and you will become sad and depressed, and that's not healthy. Okay, so there is a level of, I want to say, sanity that you need to be in where your needs are still getting met, and that you find a way to set your boundaries so that he or she understands there's a certain line that can't be crossed, okay, and what your expectations are for them to behave a certain way so that there's a middle ground. So it's not to the extreme of being self-centered and selfish and insensitive, right? And how we can come to the middle ground of where they can feel comfortable. They can just, both of you can just meet in the middle somehow so that your needs are getting met and they're not too far stretched. They're not I can't think of the right phrase, but this way they're not going to the extreme also and feeling uncomfortable. Okay, there's got to be a middle ground. Um, so you, okay, so you will need to have a conversation with your partner to let him or her know that you love them and recognize they are not able to completely be the emotional support you need, and that you'll be making new platonic friends and spending time with them by communicating through text, phone calls, and or meeting them for coffee to chat once a month. The boundary is a way for you to still get your emotional needs met outside of your relationship to compensate for the lack of it in your relationship with your partner. Okay, so this is the other part of this setting the boundaries. While you're stating your boundaries, you also need to let them know what you plan to do. Okay, because folks, we know we can't change people. We know already this person, if they want to improve themselves, they will have to seek counseling. And you can let him or her know that from what you understand, they're going to have to seek counseling if they really want to improve themselves. They may be reluctant. Okay. Um, the younger avoidant attachment style people, they are young enough, maybe they are willing to get help. But as you get older, we get more fixed, we get more set in our ways. So if you're dealing with an older emotionally unavailable partner, it may be difficult uh, for them to want to change. Okay, especially if they're 30, 40, or 50 years old, they are so set in their ways. It may be just very, very scary for them to even think about having to make a change. So in that situation, the second way to set boundaries is that you need to get your emotional needs met elsewhere. And we're not talking about a romantic emotional need. We're not talking about committing adultery or having an emotional affair. This is different. Okay, this just means that if you're having a bad day or you're going through a trying period of time in your life, just a temporary period, you need someone to talk to, right? Typically, us women, we have our female friends that we can talk to, right? Our best friend that we can talk to. This is what I'm talking about. Normally, ideally, we'd want our partner to be our best friends, but the reality is we're all not perfect, and not everyone is married to someone that is going to be the perfect best friend for us. So if we're involved, if we're committed to a person who's emotionally unavailable, the marriage can still, or the marriage or the relationship can still work. But this is the second way, is that you need, if you don't have a good friend, I encourage you to make new friends. Okay, join a club, pursue a hobby, um, somehow, find friends that you can bond with, that could become your close friend. And this will be your way of getting your emotional needs met when you need it met. But you need to let your partner know upfront this is what you intend to do, because you're trying to work with them. You're trying to work with the situation and their issues, right? Their attachment style, of how you can get your needs met at the same time, so that they're not going to feel pressured to to be more vulnerable, that they're not comfortable with. Okay, so this is going to be a sort of a compromise to that issue. Okay, and your partner, if they realize that they have an avoidant attachment style issue, they probably will be relieved that you're offering another suggestion that excludes them from having to change or do something that's totally out of their comfort zone. Okay. Obviously, if they're not happy with your idea and they don't want you to go, they don't, or if they really want to be your best friend, then maybe that will be the motivation where they will go to counseling, or you can go with them to counseling, and you guys can work together as a team for that person to learn how to be more vulnerable, and to maybe meet you halfway in being in meeting your emotional needs. That could happen, right? So we just have to keep an open mind and just look at all the possibilities and options, how we can work around a relationship if we're involved with someone who's emotionally unavailable. Okay. The third way is seek counseling. Counseling may be needed if you're feeling extremely emotional, hurt, or angry, and need help processing your emotions. Sometimes it helps to have a third party listen to validate your feelings and help you heal, so you can prepare yourself to meet the challenges of this relationship. Okay, so let me just stop right here real quick. The as I said earlier, we try not to take it personally, but we're all different. We all have our sensitivities, right? And if you happen to be an anxious style personality where you're always worried, right, uh, about being abandoned, and you're worried whether your partner likes you, you may get totally stressed out. Okay. Or you may be a person who's just highly sensitive and highly emotional. And you may just start feeling awfully hurt and angry. So if it gets to that point, I would suggest that you get counseling. The counselor will help you to understand, to not take it personally, and just comfort you and help you understand the whole situation and where your partner's coming from. And the counselor will also give you ideas of how to cope being with an emotionally unavailable partner. Okay. The fourth way is self care. Taking care of yourself means not just caring for yourself physically, like eating right and sleeping well, but also taking care of your mental health. It means practice daily doing the things that make you happy and putting your needs first. And why is this so important? Because by caring for yourself and maintaining happiness every day, you will be able to deal with whatever challenges or problems that come your way in a healthy manner. And by caring for yourself, you will protect your heart and never allow anyone to steal your joy or peace of mind. This is something we all need to practice, whether we are in a relationship or not. It's a way to empower ourselves so that we don't allow others to control us or take our power away. And folks, self-care is just another way of saying self-love. By practicing to care for ourselves, we are essentially loving ourselves. This fourth way is just worth repeating again and again and again. I don't know how many times I've said to people who um, are just not taking care of themselves, and they're just constantly in a state of unhappiness, right? It is so important to practice self-care. So let me just say this again, because I really think this is very, very important. Taking care of yourself means not just caring for yourself physically, like eating right and sleeping well, but also taking care of your mental health. It means practicing daily doing the things that make you happy and putting your needs first. And why is this so important? Because by caring for yourself and maintaining happiness every day, you will be able to deal with whatever challenges or problems that come your way in a healthy manner. And by caring for yourself, you will protect your heart and never allow anyone to steal your joy or peace of mind. This is something we all need to practice, whether we are in a relationship or not. It's a way to empower ourselves so we don't allow others to control us or take our power away. And folks, self care is just another way of saying self love. By practicing to care for ourselves, we essentially are loving ourselves. Okay. And this is important because often when we are in a toxic relationship or in a challenging relationship, we tend to ignore our own needs. Okay. We put others above us, especially us women, and especially those of us who are people pleasers. We often don't realize it, but we are always help accommodating others to our own at our own expense, and that's not healthy. We have to constantly keep this in mind and be vigilant of our own happiness and to um, be careful about allowing others to exert that kind of control over our happiness. Okay, so we need to. This is a way to. We need to remember self love is very very important. Okay. And the final way to deal with emotionally unavailable partner is the fifth and the final way is is stay or leave. Okay. I hear this question a lot. I'm with an emotionally unavailable partner. Should I stay or leave? This is a common question that people have when they're in a relationship with an emotionally unavailable partner. Should you stay? Should you choose to stay or leave your partner? It's a personal choice that you need to make alone, and no one can really make that choice for you. Okay, so you need to understand that. I know some of us who are so distressed, we want to reach out and ask the question, "What should I do?" Right? We're feeling unhappy. We're stressed out. Should I stay with an emotionally unavailable partner? And so I'm here to say, should you choose to stay or leave your partner, it's a personal choice that you need to make alone, and no one can really make that choice for you. And here's why. This is not just one answer to that question. There's not just one answer to this question. It all depends on the personality and needs of each person. All of us are unique, and some of us may be okay and learn to live with someone who is emotionally unavailable. And then there are others who are not okay with feeling alone and cannot be happy staying in that kind of relationship. And in case some of you are feeling a little unsure and confused, here are some helpful tips to help you decide whether to stay or leave. Okay, so this is why that none of us should be able to answer this question or help. We're not going to be able to help people answer this question whether they should stay or leave with an emotionally unavailable partner because everyone is different. Okay, um, but I want to go over some reasons and tips that will help you decide if you're in this predicament, you're confused of whether you should stay or leave. Okay. And this will be very clear to you guys. For those of you who are in a situation with a partner that's emotionally available, by going over these reasons, you'll get a clear understanding pretty quickly where you fall and how you feel. You know where you fall on all these reasons, and then you'll have a better idea what you need to do to suit your own situation. Okay. Um, okay, these are the reasons you may want to stay. Okay, so I'm going to list a few reasons of why you would want to stay with an emotionally unavailable partner. You value your alone time and space. You're independent and have hobbies, interests, true friends that provide your emotional support system, and your space away from your partner is compatible with your partner's need for space. Okay, so you if you're someone who's highly independent and you're comfortable with your alone time and your space to yourself is compatible with the space that your partner is comfortable with, it's a good match, right? This way your partner won't feel like they're suffocating. You yourself also won't feel that you're being suffocated. It's a good match. If you're, so if you're highly independent, you have your own life, your own hobbies, you have good friends that you can go to for emotional support. Um, it's a good match. Okay. Another reason why you may want to stay is if you found your happiness from within and have come to terms that your partner will never be able to meet all of your emotional needs, you have come to a place of total understanding and acceptance to not have unrealistic expectations of your partner while still being able to maintain being emotionally healthy. Okay? Another important reason. Let me just say this again. So this is another reason why you may choose to stay If you found your happiness from within and have come to terms that your partner will never be able to meet all of your emotional needs, you have come to a place of total understanding and acceptance to not have unrealistic expectations of your partner while still being able to maintain being emotionally healthy. Okay. This is a total place of acceptance, folks. Um, you're gonna, you're totally content with your life. You've found the happiness from within. You're not looking for your partner to meet to make you happy. You're not looking for your partner to meet all your needs. Okay? You're at a place of contentment and acceptance of your partner. Okay? So if you feel this way, this would be another reason why you may choose to stay. Okay, a third reason is you don't take your partner's lack of being emotionally unavailable personally and realize your partner is who he or she is. You realize your partner isn't intentionally trying to hurt or not care about you, and you accept your partner for who he or she is. Okay? So, again, let me just say this again. The reason why you may choose to stay is that you don't take your partner's lack of being emotionally unavailable personally and realize your partner is who he or she is. You realize your partner isn't intentionally trying to hurt or not care about you, and you accept your partner for who he or she is. So, so in a nutshell, this is just about um, being, I want to say, being someone who's totally accepting of your partner. Um, this is what we would often refer to as unconditional love. This is probably the epitome of unconditional love. When you see someone for who they is and you accept them for who she or she is. Okay. And the last but not least, the fourth reason why you may want to stay is, and finally, you're willing to stay regardless of whether they change or not. And you're hopeful that they may someday make changes because in time they may see how their same pattern of behavior negatively affects others and the quality of the relationships. Who knows? Someday they may have regret and feel sadness for all the pain they have caused others by their lack of being emotionally unavailable. Okay? I've said this before in my other previous videos. All of us, people are constantly changing and growing. Okay? The relationships as a result have to change and evolve with the changes for each people in the relationship. Okay? We are not the same person we were 30 years ago, 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, right? We're always changing. So, who's to say your partner may decide to change? Okay? Um, but things happen in life, and not everyone stays the same. Even emotionally unavailable partner, they may, and it may not be a radical change, but it may just be subtle changes where they realize how their behaving is negatively impacting other people around them, and they may actually start seeing it for themselves, and they may decide that they want better quality relationships, and they'll choose to maybe work on themselves. Okay. So that's the fourth reason, is that you realize that you want to stay regardless of whether they change or not. Okay. But at the same time, you're hopeful. You're not wishful thinking. It's a different story, but you're hopeful and you understand. It's almost like a maturity, a mature outlook on life, a positive, an optimistic, mature outlook on life, that you understand that people are not going to stay the same, right? Hopefully everyone is always going in the right direction of personal growth and not getting worse. Okay. So this fourth reason is that you just have high optimism. You're hopeful that your partner will change for the better if they decide to change. But if they don't decide to change, you're okay with that. Okay. But it's basically just giving someone the benefit of the doubt and just having a very optimistic outlook in your relationship. Okay. And that's a healthy mindset, really. So these are the main four reasons that someone would choose to stay with an emotionally unavailable partner. I just want to stop right here and take a moment to say that not all relationships with emotionally unavailable people are hopeless. With emotionally unavailable people, there is a range from high to low as far as how emotionally unavailable they are. As I said many times in previous videos, we are continually changing and evolving as we journey through life. So it's possible that someone may have evolved to a point where they choose to stay with an emotionally unavailable partner. So this is kind of in addition to what I just said before about your partner possibly changing. You yourself may have evolved to the point that you can accept your partner for who he or she is. It works both ways. Okay. In our younger years, when we are more, maybe when we're all younger, less experienced, less mature, we were more needy, right? Our needs could have been more when we were younger. um, when you get older, things change, right? Your needs could also change. So when you get older, you may not be as needy, and therefore you're able at that point you're maybe more willing and open to a partner who is not going to be that fulfilling in your needs because you frankly don't need that kind of a person because you've changed. So we just need to keep an open mind that your part, everyone's always constantly changing. So it's not just your partner, but you yourself. So, and there's different degrees of emotionally unavailable people. Not everyone is at the extreme. Okay, some people are in the middle and some people are at the other extreme. So there's a range there. And so depending on where your emotionally unavailable partner is, it may be at a point where you can live with it. Okay? All right, so now we're going to discuss the reasons why you may want to leave an emotionally unavailable partner. Okay, these are the reasons why you may want to leave your emotional unavailable partner. The first reason is that you have an anxious attachment style behavior, and you are constantly anxious, needing attention, affection, closeness, and reassurance of caring. Because the emotionally unavailable partner has the opposite needs, it will not be a good compatible match. Research shows that an anxious attachment person may be more compatible with a secure attachment partner. Okay, so this is worth talking about just for a second. So, if you realize you have an anxious attachment style behavior and you're constantly anxious, needing attention, affection, closeness, and reassurance of caring, um, and it may not be a good compatible match because the emotionally unavailable partner has just the opposite needs. Okay. It will not be a good match. Research shows that anxious attachment people may be more compatible with a secure attachment partner. Okay. Remember, as not too long ago, we went over the 4 attachment styles. So, this is what research has shown. So, an anxious attachment partner may not be able to handle or feel they are going to be compatible with someone who's avoidant attachment. Okay. The second reason that you may want to leave is you have a high sex drive and sexual satisfaction is a high priority. Research shows that not all avoidant attachment people have the least amount of sex. It just depends on how avoidant they are. But in general, the higher the avoidance, the least amount of sex. So you'll need to decide how sexually compatible you two are and if it's something you can live with. Okay, so actually, when I was doing some research on this, I was quite surprised. I had no idea that avoidant people, that their avoidant level is directly correlated to sexually, how s- how how sexually compatible they would be with somebody. That their sex drive is in direct relation to how avoidant they are. That's very interesting. So another reason that you want to leave if you're somebody who has a high sex drive and sex is a high priority for you for a relationship. And again, not everyone is feels that way. Okay, especially when you get older. When you're younger, a lot of young people are they're sexually healthy, right? And they have that need to have frequent sex, and so just depends. Again, depends who you are. Depends on your health condition. You've heard me say in the past, um, things could happen in life where one or both of you uh, could have a health condition that is preventing you from enjoying sex, or you may not be able to have sex, right? So these things do happen in life, and so again, it's going to be dependent on each individual, um, and again, we need to keep this in mind, okay? That people that are avoidant, okay, the more avoidant somebody is, the least amount of sex they're going to want to have. So if you're somebody that highly values sex and it's a priority need, okay, in your life, you may choose to leave a partner uh, that is emotionally unavailable. Okay. The third reason why you may leave is you're tired of waiting for your emotionally unavailable partner to make a commitment. This applies to those of you who have been in a long-term relationship for many years and your partner is still undecided and they're reluctant to discuss future goals or plans and still isn't sure if you're the right one, or he or she wants to spend the rest of your life, or they're not sure if you're the right one he or she wants to spend the rest of his or her life with. Okay. um Not all avoidant people are commitment phobes, but if you happen to be with one and have been waiting for a commitment that will probably never happen, then you may decide to leave and not waste any more of your time. I do want to say, stop right here and talk about this for a few minutes. Not all avoidant attachment style or emotionally unavailable people are commitment phobes. Okay, research has shows that a lot of them are, but not all of them are. Again, there's a continuum, right? From low to high. So it depends where your emotionally unavailable partner falls on that continuum. Okay. Um, some are able to commit. They're able to make a commitment. They're just not able to maybe fulfill all your needs and be vulnerable and be able to meet your emotional needs. But some of them are not commitment phobes. They are able to connect enough to make a commitment. They're not going to be so fearful that they fear commitment. Okay. But there are situations where if with an extreme case of people that are emotionally unavailable, okay, they will be on the high end of being highly avoidant, and those people will be considered commitment phobes. And you'll know when you're in a relationship with someone like this. Okay, I hear it a lot when people have been with their partner for many years and there's never any conversation about future goals with each other. There's not a hint about making commitment or talk about marriage or living together. And that is very distressing for you if you're the one that's involved with someone like that and if you are looking for a future and a commitment. Okay, so this is the third reason why you may choose to leave, is that if you're tired of waiting for your emotionally unavailable partner to make a commitment. This applies to those of you who have been in a long-term relationship for many years and your partner is still undecided. They're reluctant to discuss future goals or plans and still isn't sure if you're the right one he or she wants to spend the rest of his life with. Okay, his or her life with. Um, okay, and the fourth reason you may want to leave your partner is if your partner is too set in his or her ways, has no desire to change or improve, and is not willing to compromise to meet you halfway with regard to your emotional needs. Not all avoidant people are totally self-centered to this extreme and unwilling to change, but there are some who are this way who can't seem to recognize or acknowledge their own flaws. And when it's to this extreme, they will usually behave in toxic ways and their relationships will be toxic as well. So, in these extreme cases where your partner is inflexible and has no desire to work on the relationship, then you may want to leave. Okay. So, again, this is the fourth reason why you may choose to leave. As we said earlier, there's a continuum of if your partner is emotionally unavailable, there's a low and high. There's a low and high scale. Okay. And depending where they fall on that continuum will determine how extreme of a behavior that they're going to exhibit. Okay. In this situation, um, I'll just say this again because it's worth repeating. Um, if they're too set in their ways, and they have no desire to change or improve, and they're not willing to compromise to meet you halfway with regard to your emotional needs. Okay, you've heard me say in my previous videos, part of being in a healthy relationship is two people being able to come to a compromise when they don't agree on certain issues. Okay, you have to have a degree of flexibility and be able to compromise. Otherwise, there's no point being in a relationship, right? I mean, if you want to do everything your way, then if it's all about me or I, then there's no we. Okay, the whole point of being in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, there's a we. right? So in this extreme situation, if you're with a person who's emotionally unavailable to the extreme level that they're highly inflexible and they're not willing to at least try to meet you halfway, you're not in a healthy relationship, and you are in a toxic relationship at this point. So basically, it's going to be his way or her way. That's it, and that's not a healthy place to be. Um, so I want to say, not all avoidant people are totally self-centered to this extreme and unwilling to change, but there are some who are this way, who can't seem to recognize or acknowledge their own flaws. And when it's to this extreme, they will usually behave in toxic ways, and the relationships will be toxic as well. So, in these extreme cases where your partner is inflexible and has no desire to work on the relationship, then you may want to leave. Okay. So, those are the 4 reasons why someone may choose to leave. And folks, I've talked about this very issue in my previous video. The number one sign when a relationship is over. It takes both partners to put forth the effort to work on the relationship. If one of the partners is not willing to put forth the effort, then it's over. Okay. So oftentimes, if you're dealing with someone who's to the extreme of an emotionally unavailable partner and they are just totally inflexible, they don't want to meet you halfway, they don't want to compromise, it's either their way or the highway, it's not a healthy relationship. Okay. And fortunately, not all emotionally unavailable people behave this way. This is just the extreme cases. Okay. And so we need to keep that in mind. And if you haven't seen my last video, the number one sign when a relationship is over, I would recommend you go and take a look at that video. Okay. The question that I hear often is, when is the relationship over? Okay. And the answer is when both partners are not willing to put forth the effort anymore to work on the relationship. So if you're with an extreme emotionally unavailable partner who's unwilling to put forth the effort to at least meet you halfway, or at least try to be flexible a little so that some of your needs are met, then it's not going to be a healthy relationship. Okay. And then you may have to decide to end the relationship for your own peace of mind and sanity. Okay. So I hope today's video has been helpful. Being with a partner who is emotionally unavailable can be challenging, but the key is to know yourself, know your partner, take the steps to deal with your partner, and then finally decide if you should stay or leave. Okay? So, folks, I really am very happy to have be able to talk today on this subject, because I don't think it's a subject that's highly talked about enough. There's so many different personalities that are around us, and we do have to be cognizant of our own attachment styles. We have to be aware of the people around us, to be self-aware and to be others aware. Okay, we have to know who we are, who we're dealing with, and like I said, and I said in this final thing, is that the key is to know yourself, know your partner, take the steps to deal with your partner, and then finally decide if you should stay or leave. Okay. And I think that wraps it up in a nutshell, really. Okay. And I hope this video has given you enough information to think about. Um, it's definitely worth taking time out to assess the situation and decide where you fall as far as whether you are the kind of person that should stay or leave. Okay, the reasons that we just listed. You may want to go ahead and rewind this video and take notes on the reasons again, and then you'll know. Okay, this is not something you have to ask somebody, because there's no way anybody else could ascertain the situation. You know yourself, and you know your partner. You've been with your partner hopefully long enough that you understand your person. So you need to take time to really think about, go back and listen to the video, think about where you are, where your partner is on the scale of being emotionally unavailable, and where you are, what kind of person you are, what kind of attachment style you have, and whether you can, whether you're comfortable, whether you can accept this person for who they are. Okay. So again, as you can tell from this video, there is no right or wrong answer, but there is a right or wrong answer that is right for you. Okay. That's the key. It's not a one size fits all answer. It's going to depend on who you are and who your partner is, and where you guys can meet in the middle or not. Right. So anyway, I hope you found, if you do, if you resonate with this video or you appreciate it, please click like and share. please comment, or if you got questions, please put it in the comment section. And as always, please subscribe to my channel so you can be notified of my future videos. And thanks, folks, for taking the time to watch the video. And I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.